welcome to Sibos 2018 in Sydney. I'm Hannah Wallace, and joining me now is Eddie Haddad of SWIFT to talk about real-time payments in the Asia-Pacific region. Hello Eddie, thank you very much for joining me.
Hi, thanks for having me.
How are you enjoying the event so far?
It's great. I mean, I'm Australian, I don't live here, but it's great to have it in your own country. Obviously the food is a lot better than it has been in other Siboses. Great event, a great convention centre. So yeah, all good.
Well, thank you for having us. Could you tell me, what are you doing in the Asia-Pacific region to improve the cross-border payments experience?
So globally we're doing something called GPI, which is really using the existing SWIFT rails, which have always been very efficient, very fast, but they've had a lot of friction in there. That friction is caused by the bank's processes, time zones, currencies, fees, and GPI basically strips that out. So if you join the service, you agree to a certain SLA, strips that out, and that allows payments to go faster. We track it as well, so for the first time a message is actually tracked, so you can actually see how fast a payment is. And on average, once you strip out the friction, you get down to minutes to make a cross-border payment. So that's what's happening in the cross-border space.
All right, and what are some of the highlights from the trial?
GPI, proves that you can do things fast. So then we said, what else can we do to GPI cross-border to make it even faster? Let's have a look at some of the remaining friction. How do we strip that out? So things like, time zones, opening hours, currencies. We have put in place a rule book, or we've asked during the pilot to have a rule book that would actually reduce that friction further. And so as a result of that, we can get cross-border payments down to seconds. Then we said, well, if we can do that, why don't we see if we can integrate it into the real-time payment networks that have been stood up in various countries. We started with NPP in Australia. We're obviously close to that because SWIFT built it. And so we were able to test to see a cross-border payment from China, Singapore, Thailand into Australia over the GPI leg, and then from there into NPP, and then from NPP to another bank that's part of NPP to an end beneficiary. And all that can be done in seconds.
And finally, what's next? Can the success be replicated across the globe?
The whole purpose of doing it was to see how we could basically link up these real-time networks all over the place. So they're being stood up. There's Australia, there's one in Singapore, Hong Kong just got stood up, Malaysia's doing one, Japan's had one for years, India's had one for a decade. And so it's an adjacent space to SWIFT, so it makes perfect sense for us to bring the standardization and interoperability to kind of connect all of those up. So the next one we'll talk to Singapore, Hong Kong. The UK is an important corridor, so we'll talk to the guys in the UK to see how we can link them up. So early days, but the test proves that it can be done.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for painting the picture for us. Eddie, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching.